7/64. It is used for all of our standard bolts, and also this tool over here, which is called a hex nut driver thing. You use this in conjunction with your 7/64 to tighten your bolt and your nut onto an object, like so. We also use other tools to tighten nuts onto objects, such as these handy dandy wrenches. You simply slip it over the nut and rotate. Righty tighty, lefty loosey. Pretty effective. We have different sizes depending on which nut you're using. And if something does not fit the nut you have, we have what are called crescent wrenches, which are very effective and useful, and that my handy dandy assistant will now give to me. Thank you, handy dandy assistant. These are adjustable, so if we have a hex nut in which we need to tighten something with, we can adjust it for that hex nut of specified or unspecified size. Here is another wrenchy type tool thing that can also be adjusted. No.
This channel lock.
Yeah, this is a channel lock wrench. That's not in there, but it was the thing we found. Anyways, this is a channel.
Alright, keep going.
This is a channel lock wrench that can be adjusted within these increments, which are determined by these channels, as the name implies. That's all on those. Now we're on to pliers and wire cutty things. So pliers can be used to grab objects, such as, let's say you dropped a nut somewhere and you need to reach it out from your robot. You can use these to grab objects such as wires and other various things when you need to move stuff. And needle nose pliers, which are used for more precise things, can be used for different things from these pliers, which also have this bit so you can cut wire and various other objects, and also strip wire. These can also be used for similar tasks as the needle nose pliers, such as reaching objects, but also tightening nuts if necessary. Try to refrain from using them for tightening because we have such handy dandy tools that are specifically designed to do so. Now we have our wire cutters, which I bet you can't guess what these do. They cut wires as well as strip wires. Pretty self-explanatory, don't really need to cover that. This is a box cutter. It's used for cutting things. Not much else to say there besides don't cut metal with it, don't cut friends with it. That's the most you can say about these. These are tin snips, mostly used for cutting sheet metal and removing fingers. Next, we have our files. There are various different types of files. This is a rounded file, and it's used for rounding things out or basically filing them down to make them smaller or smoother. So our 3/32 is used for things such as gear hubs and motor hubs, and our 5/64 is used for axle locks. What those things are going to be different things that are going to be covered in a video. So now we will move on to screwdrivers. So there are two different types of screwdrivers. One is a flathead screwdriver and our Phillips screwdriver. So our Phillips screwdriver is used for screws that have this cross-shaped pattern, which will image or something in there, and it's so it can be used to take out these screws or screw them in. So righty-tighty, lefty-loosey, very basic. So this is a flathead screwdriver, and it's used for these, well, basically it's a screw head with a line through it, which it should be pretty apparent which screws these go to, so not much explanation there. Now, onto measuring tools. So, this is your standard ruler. You will use it to measure distances. Not much explanation again, very straightforward. This is not a super precise tool, however, it does get the job done for general things. Now, when we think about more precise tools, we like to think of the caliper. Now, what the caliper does is it can be, you turn on with this button, and you can toggle between inches and millimeters, and that will actually show up in the top right-hand corner of the screen. So once you put it to a position, you can zero it. That will set the point that's 0, and then from there you can measure. With this bit, you can measure distances of objects, like how long across they are. And with this side, you can actually measure distances between objects, such as the space between these holes, for example. It's very useful for a lot of modeling and a lot of precise measurements. So that is all for the caliper. We will now be moving on to the square. So this doohickey, aka the square, can be used for creating right angles when needing to measure things. So you can create square objects and make sure you're actually level with whatever you're cutting. Some of these actually have levels in them, so you can tell if you're if you're correctly leveled, if you want to do something for, say, a table or another object that has to be parallel with the ground. But this one does not, but you can also loosen this and slide it across as you need to. This measuring line bit can be replaced with this tool, which allows you to draw precise angles. So this is 30 degrees over here and 45 degrees over here. And that can be done by simply removing this and replacing it with this piece. So very simple, very straightforward. That's about it for the tools we have. Thank you for watching. Sorry I rambled a bit.
Stop rambling.
Also, one more thing. Pretty obvious. It's a clamp. It clamps onto things. It attaches them together. You close it, and then you press on the handle, which is right here, and it will tighten it.
What kind of clamp is it?
Shh.
It's a clamp.
It's a clamp.
Clamp.
It clamps things. We're done.
Yay!
Okay.